And for those of you that might just be joining us, you're watching America's Future Series. This is the National Security Dual Use Technology Summit. I'm Scott Murray, David Hamilton, the founder, CEO of America's Future Series, and we're delighted to continue to welcome you all. For those of you that just jumping on board.
Yep, and tell your friends they can still jump on board.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
They can join Todd here in a second.
Yep. Okay, well, let me do a little introduction here. I'm talking about Todd Forsman. He is the Senior Vice President of Government Affairs at TMG Corp. He's a former Marine, an entrepreneur, strategist, and certainly a leader. He earned a Master's of Arts in Security Studies back in 2009 from what is now called the Graduate School of International and Defense Studies. He also studied Spanish at the Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center and went on to become a foreign area officer, spending much of his time in Latin America after leaving school. And after he left the Marine Corps back in 2015, Forsman became more exposed to emerging technologies that he wished he had well on active duty. And I'm sure you're not the only one that felt that way. Todd Forsman, welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Thank you, Scott, and doing great this morning. Thanks for having me, and David and the America Futures Series team. Thanks for putting this event on. Really excited. It's been a great panel all through the morning. So many interesting topics discussed, and I'm excited to lead this next panel and introduce our next guests, which are the leaders that comprise the DoD innovation ecosystem. So we've got, let's see if we've got everybody, if you can come up on video, guys, Colonel Wisham, Colonel Diller, I'm seeing everybody popping up. Thank you all.
Well said, sir. We'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Is Mike with us?
Sure am. How's it going, sir?
Hey, Mike. Good. Good to see you. So I want to do a little setup here first and introduce Mike Canty. Mike is the co-founder and CEO of Armaments Research Company, aka ARC. He's a 2003 West Point graduate where he was also on the varsity basketball team. Field artillery officer who's Ranger trained. He's a veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan. When he left the service, he got his MBA at Columbia. He's done a stint at Microsoft and Amazon before founding ARC. So Mike, why don't you just tell us a little bit about ARC, and then I know you have some slides to go through, and then maybe we'll circle back around at the end and fill in some of the gaps if we have some time left. Over to you.
Okay, thanks for the kind introduction, sir, and also for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here with this audience today, just to share a little bit of what we've been working on. And so if I could just dive right in, quick overview before we get into our conversation, just as context for it. ARC's, the company was spun out of Columbia University, and we developed some technology while we were there that was later picked up by the National Science Foundation and DARPA. And so based on those initial projects with those groups, it ended up expanding into efforts with the Army, Marine Corps, as well as the Air Force, and then also extended into requirements for our capability in the 2019 NDAA. And so, our overall vision is, in the context of a modern battlefield that's sensorized, that leveraging the weapon as an information node on the battlefield to be able to understand how critical situations might be developing is where we see there being a huge potential and upside. And it's such a robust data source that it's central to all battlefield activity. And based on that, there's a lot that can be gleaned in terms of how a situation might be developing. And ultimately, this information can be used to be able to save lives. And that's what inspires our company every day. And so the problem kind of goes back to, how do we share information more quickly on the battlefield to be effective? And so I'm sure that a lot of the audience members here today probably have either heard of, maybe even read the book, The Kill Chain by Chris Brose. And he kind of hits the nail on the head in terms of the problem that we're trying to solve, and that, a lot of how we transmit target data primarily is through the radio. And that's the same way that we did it during World War II. And so, when the time passes, the delays that caused, the time passes, the threats vanish. And this was consistent with my experience over 3 deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, is we were never fast enough during some of these engagements to be effective. And ultimately, we lost a lot of tactical opportunities as a result. And so what we do is we take a miniaturized sensor, this right here, slides into this sleeve, and then slides into the pistol grip of a tactical small arm tactical weapon, as well as crew serve weapons. And we start capturing data, usage data, and identifying critical events, such as when a weapon is being discharged, and then the rates of fire, and a weapon is being aimed, understanding what that line of fire is. And so you have a more complete picture. We're able to illuminate some of the dark spaces on the battlefield by transmitting this information. And we do it via ATAC right now, which is the Common Operating Picture that a lot of SOF and conventional forces use today. And we do that to be able to improve situational awareness. So basic information around where friendly units are, where the line of fire is, and where the threat is located is enough information for commanders on the ground to be able to make support decision and maneuver decisions. Beyond situational awareness, we also have, we found training and predictive maintenance applications for this core technology, which I'll get into next. So here's what we're doing. We're working a little bit in the predictive maintenance realm with the Marine Corps on their crew serve weapons platforms, such as the 50 cal and the Mark 19 and the 240. But basically understanding when a weapon will fail, taking some of these core features such as round count and rates of fire, and being able to extend the longevity of a weapons platform by being proactive in the maintenance programs and scheduled maintenance programs that can result from this information. Additionally, from a training application, we're also working with the National Police Foundation, reached out to us and asked us to start developing a platform that aggregates information on when a weapon is drawn, aimed, and discharged, collecting those events over time to be able to use as a training tool through a replay function was something that is now being deployed with agencies in Utah as well as Arizona. Finally, we were awarded a $60 million IDIQ SBIR phase 3 with the Army and the Marine Corps sponsors, and that's really to kind of facilitate the development of this technology and integrate it into some of the larger programs that are already underway, such as NGSW, as well as IVAS. For the Marine Corps, it's to be able to do some of the predictive maintenance work that I discussed earlier, as well as automated logistics, being able to securely pass this information through the radio to a load-bearing drone that would provide an ammunition resupply package onto the battlefield. And then finally, the pilots that we have set up for to start in January with Utah, Arizona, and California. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it back over to you, sir, for any follow-on questions.
Can we take the slides down and show our faces? I guess I was going to say pretty face, but that's probably a little presumptuous. So while they're working on that, Mike, thanks a lot. I wonder if you could just talk through the genesis of the idea a little bit more. So obviously you've got multiple combat tours, and when did it sort of hit you that this was in the realm of the possible?
So, when I was in grad school, I met an engineer who talked about kind of connecting some of the fundamental technology for connecting firearms. And, the first kind of situation that I had thought about was on our first deployment to Iraq, being called up to be able to support a platoon that was about 20 individuals that were pinned down in some dense palm groves. They radioed to us as QRF for support. And as we arrived on scene, we could hear the gunfire being exchanged around us. But even though it was broad daylight like it is right now, we couldn't see more than 20 meters in front of us because the vegetation was so thick. So we couldn't make out friendly locations. Therefore, we didn't know where the line of fire was, and we didn't know where the threat was located. And so at the time, I had a squad of about 9 Iraqi army soldiers that were on a knee behind me, looking at me to make a decision. And the best thing I could do is to tell them to stand by as we waited for that information over the radio. It's over the next, probably 20 or so minutes, we're able to get that information, but by that point, the enemy had already slipped away. And so we didn't have the information that we needed to be effective in that situation. And I'm not alone in that. That was, repeated during the deployment.
Yeah. So you are where a lot of companies want to be. I mean, there's a lot of people with interesting ideas that have serious application and value add. And, it might be 2 people in a garage or, working in their basement. And so walk us through some of the lessons learned, because you've gotten to a point now where your technology is in the commercial sector. It's being accepted into the military. Obviously, you still have, plans to grow and all that, but kind of walk us through what some of the key lessons learned as a successful entrepreneur have been.
Well, and I apologize in advance, sir, because this might sound cliche, but it does start with the end user. It does start with the warfighter. And what that means is building features of a product that actually hits on a top 1 or 2 priority for the end user, helps eliminate a pain point, developing features with them as to how they want to consume that information. If you're able to establish that and establish, that you're solving a problem, going to program offices with that information, they'll listen. And so that's been our experience on our first project with DARPA. We're working with, hand in hand with the 75th Rangers out in Savannah. And we developed our capability. Every single design review included the Rangers, and they gave feedback on, developing features as well as, features that we didn't include, building out our roadmap based on that. We took that back to DARPA. And when we went and reached out to the Army and the Marine Corps on it, they quickly kind of understood the value, and it was simply because the end users kind of helped shape what that product looked like.
Yeah. So we have probably time for one more question. When you look back on it, what was the hardest part? The darkest time, and as ARC was emerging, and what was the single hardest thing probably to get over?
So the contracting cycles, for sure. And so, I think that we had our first contract, we probably slipped by about 3 months, and then the next slipped by about 6 months. And so, being able to weather that storm, we were fortunate enough to be able to raise some capital ahead of time to be able to help out. But projecting that, I think, was it's tough to anticipate sometimes the contracting delays.
Yeah, great. What would be a home run for you looking forward for the next few years?
We want to see the near-term target is 150,000 weapons with the NGSW program. And so we'd like to see these sensors become ubiquitous on the battlefield. And that way, not only do the end users get a more complete view of what's happening, but the data that we're using in aggregate is going to be able to be that much more robust and high quality.
Great. Well, Mike, thanks a lot. You've built a great company, and I think there's a lot that we explored here in just these 10 minutes that a lot of these young entrepreneurs can take to heart. And so thanks again for being part of this. Congratulations on your incredible success to date, and I look forward to watching you guys and see how it all unfolds.
Thanks, sir. My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you, Bo. That was fantastic. We appreciate it. That's a very impressive company, and its technology is something, we want to get in the hands of the warfighter faster. Met them about a year or so through you, and just really impressed with them. And we can't accelerate these kind of companies fast enough, right? So that was a great interview. Appreciate you doing that.